Hey everyone, today's a look at the reference 7900 XT. I know it says Powercolor, but this is essentially just AMD reference in a Powercolor box. Okay, same goes for Sapphire, ASRock, etc. I picked this card up from Micro Center this morning. I was one person away from getting the XTX, unfortunately. So while I wanted the XTX, I didn't get it. But in this video, I'm gonna unbox this. I'm gonna take a look at it. I would say the only really alternative you have at this price point now on the NVIDIA side is, I wouldn't buy, 3080s, you really shouldn't buy a 3080 anymore unless it's used. I know folks are selling it, I seen someone buy one the other day, a White Strix, for $800, and it's a fucking joke because that card was $850 what, 2 years ago. Okay, so I think on the NVIDIA camp, you're really looking at 30 series cards. There's no 4070 yet. The 4080 is not really a competitor for this card. I think obviously in some titles you can see it as a competitor, like Modern Warfare 2 or something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is tend to be running pretty strong in AMD. But I would say probably a used 3090 right now. It's about 750, right? Or 3090 Ti. Actually, those tend to be a little more now too. So in the used market, you're probably looking at a 3090 as a competitor. So I may just compare that to a 3090, this at least. And as we unbox this, I believe all the partners have slightly different packaging, but nonetheless, for those curious about AIB cards, I did order a Merc, but that won't arrive till next year, which is kind of surprising. And then I found out that Asus will not have any non-reference based like this cards until, well, you know what? I know I'm ranting as I'm unboxing, but just take a look here. There's nothing in the box, so all you get is the card. For those of you who are buying this, you may be able to get the XT. If you're wondering what's the difference between Powercolor, Sapphire, and ASRock, for example, when it comes to this kind of hold on, let me see if I need to raise my brightness, guys. Sorry if there's a little camera shake. So if you're wondering why, why would you buy one reference over the other? The only real reason is, oops, my knife. Different warranties. I think if you look on the box here, you'll notice that I have to check the box. Because I know, for example, if you buy directly from AMD, it might be a 1 year. Versus if you bought like a Powercolor, it might be a 2 year. I might have that reversed, but that's pretty much what it comes down to. I think Sapphire has the longest out the box, at least used to. I don't know off the top of my head. So check the warranty periods. That's pretty much the main difference. Even though this is a reference design, it's kind of chunky. Even though this is a reference design, AMD still does not handle your warranty. Okay, your warranty would handle through, Powercolor, Sapphire, whoever you bought it from. Wow, that is all metal. That is shocking. Yeah, that's metal. Once again, I have to raise my camera brightness because the card is dark. So sorry about that. Okay, sorry guys. I keep forgetting the direction because the camera's flipped. But there you go. So this seems to be the icon. EK announced its water blocks today. So it also has this icon on there. But no, I kind of would have liked to seen some protectors on the ports. You get one HDMI, one display port, and one what looks to be USB-C, and one display port. Okay, and let me see. And some very interesting red. To be honest, guys, I didn't even look at the review product photos, so I have no idea what it was going to look like. But I would actually like. You see that? I think that's the serial number roughly stuck on there. No, this is serial number. So what the hell is this number for? Interesting. Serial number's here, but you know what? You can tell it's totally reference. All right. So the card has a good build to it. Very sturdy, not too long. Let me get my ruler. I'll come right back so we can just get some measurements of the card. I decided to put the card on a microfiber towel because I'm gonna take it apart. With my ruler here, I can tell you the card is 11 inches long. For my millimeter friends, that is about 275 millimeters. Okay, and in terms of height, okay, we are talking about from the PCB in area, okay, that is about, what is that, 105 millimeters, a little under 104. In inches, that is about 3 3/4, okay? And of course, it's a double slot card, all right? With that said, let me just start taking this thing apart here. Quick look at what I may need to unscrew. I did not look at any disassembly videos, so I'm doing this blind, which is what I do with all my videos. Okay, let me take my watch off because I got my wife blowing up my phone. What's new? All right, let me see here. Okay, so on the back, I'm sure there's going to be a warranty if void sticker coming up very soon. Once I have these 4 off. This is a nice metal backplate, which is a nice touch. I think the EK water blocks also, the announced block also mimics. I don't get the point of these red dots though. Oh my goodness, no warranty void if removed. That's shocking. That is actually shocking. I assume at least Powercolor would stick that on, but I guess they didn't get to do much. So, let's see guys. Let me rotate this around so it makes more sense for me. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, there's going to be no ASUS cards for this generation until January, unless you want to buy something like this, the reference based. I did look at the ASUS 7900 XTX PCB. I don't know about the XT, but I can tell you the XTX has 0 missing phases on the PCB. When I mean by missing phases, I mean stuff like, you can see these empty solder points. That means something that could be there is not there. Okay, usually that's reserved for like a higher level variant, like it on the XTX. I haven't seen the ref PCB, but I assume some of these would be in there. Okay, I'm assuming. So with the ASUS taking that approach, that means the Strix will definitely be a liquid cool. I'm speculating that, but I've also confirmed it with the rep. So, you know, I guess my speculation was correct. And so that means the tough is the same as the Strix. Just one's on air, one's on AIO. Okay, and those will come with a 3/8 pin with the voltage capped at 525. I'm going to put some photos up as I'm ranting about this in post. And you'll see that for the 7900 XT series of Tough, they've reused the cooler from the 3090 Ti Tough rather than giving us the one from like the 4080 and 4090, which is kind of shit because, you know, I mean these cars don't get that hot, so I get it. But you guys remember when I had that 3090 Ti Tough, it wasn't exactly the world's best cooler for that amount of heat. And, you know, if you have the, you know, better cooler heatsink, why not just use it, right? Well, why do this? Oh, something's coming loose. So I can feel the cooler coming loose as I'm doing this, but let me just make sure. I think, nope. There we go. All right, so I'm missing some. Oh, duh. Sometimes, you know, guys, when you take these things off on camera and it's not that close to you, you tend to miss obvious things like this. But yeah, so let's see here. So yeah, with that said, you know, the Strix is no more special. Obviously, these cards, I don't even think, even the XTX, I think the coolers are more than sufficient that you don't need a water block. I think Guru 3D did the review, and it was like 60C under load, which is, you know, for an overclocked variant. I don't, you know, it's not necessary to water cool these things outside of appearance. Now, if you guys feel that I do have 3090s, okay, so if you guys feel like you think this is a card you would consider versus a 3090 used for the, you know, strong NVIDIA inclined, or if you feel that, you know, you would only buy an NVIDIA GPU and you don't even want to consider this. Ooh, hold on, it's coming apart. But I feel like something's holding it. It's thermal paste. All right, so let me double check. Oh, goodness Christ. Yeah, guys, there's one more screw. Like I said, it's always very difficult to do this when I'm so far from the camera. That's why I tend to double check a couple times. All right, so I feel it. Okay, so there's a wire here. So I don't think I can unhook it. Oh, there we go, I can unhook it. Always check for wires as you're pulling it apart. And voila. Ooh, that's gunky paste. All right, so these pads got smashed to shit, so I can't even tell you what that used to be. These are like canvas pads, but they've obviously been smushed. Paste job looks okay, but I'm gonna redo it so we can have a good look at the die. I think we're all curious in seeing that. Guys, I really don't know what this used to be. If I were to guess, I think you might want to use a 1mm and try. You might want to go 2mm. I don't know. It's kind of fucked up. And these pads here, those are definitely, let me get my caliper here, 1 second. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so these are definitely 1mm. As for the VRAM, I can't even tell you at this point. I would try with 2mm and see how that works out. As for the chips, you can see the two missing because this is a XT, not XTX. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to try 2mm pads and see how that works out afterwards. But okay, so there you go. There's the PCB. Let me clean the die shot so you can, you know, this paste job looks pretty even. So let me clean that up so you can take a look. It is a very caked on paste. So it's very dry. It actually reminds me of like the cheapest Dell thermal paste that I used to see like when I was repairing Dells as a teenager. Okay. But yeah, so that's pretty much the IO die and then the chiplets. As you can probably guess, I don't know if it's called IO die. Probably should have seen the keynote. But anyway, that's the chiplet design. All right, so that's new for this generation. And then I realized I could take the cooler apart some more, so I will. I started scrubbing off this garbage junk paste, and it's just so caked on there that I feel, yeah, I really should have tested this beforehand to see if repasting would have helped in terms of temperature, because I feel like that paste is definitely not the most optimal paste. And oh, okay, so it's actually not hard to see here. Oh, my screwdriver doesn't reach. Ouch. The two screws, and let's try not to lose them. Okay, so I don't want to face that down. That's nasty pads. Anyway, so this is the top bracket that you see with the replaceable fans. You can see they are replaceable with 3 screws. They're fairly small. Let me see what diameter these are. Really need to get some caliper batteries. Okay, so the diameter on these are, I want to say 80mm. Okay, so there's that. And then you get the metal frame. I guess this is support and cooling, right? And then you get the heatsink itself, nice and black. All right, with a nice little red touch. So if you wanted to paint this card, you would remove the fans, you know, paint the bracket. I think this is RGB. We'll find out. So I think you probably have to mask that up. This, if you paint, it's not gonna work out. Okay, it's just, you're gonna see it in the inside. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna repaste. I'm gonna put back this together. I'm gonna see if I can use a 2mm pad to get this going. And then we'll take a look at it in the system. Okay guys, it's actually the exact same day as when I filmed this earlier. I went back to Micro Center. I guess I heard there was gonna be a shipment later in the day, and I think I got the last one from the later truck that night. Well, tonight. So same deal, Powercolor. Just gonna open it real quick. Expect kind of the same deal as, just tape. Check that out. You could put that right back. Anyway, so same packaging. If this cooler is the same in terms of overall layout, which I assume it will be, I'm not going to completely tear it apart right now. I probably will do so when the EK block comes out. But here you go. Yeah, it's the same type of packaging. The cooler is obviously a little larger because it's 7900 XTX. Let me dump the boxes on the floor. And, so there's a different tape. It's taped this time instead of the, was it a yellow sticker on the other one? I forgot. But anywho, all right, so here's the card. When I had plugged this card in earlier, I noticed that this is not, I was calling this RGB, but I don't think it's RGB at all. It's just a gray thing, because I was noticing, you see how the wires are different? Because when I was looking over here, I'm like, I only see fan wires. I don't see an RGB wire, which I do see here. So this is RGB. You don't get RGB on this. And here you go. You can kind of get a look at the size difference. All right. Where's my ruler? Okay. So the XTX is a little, slightly a hair over 11 inches, less than 11 and a quarter. For the millimeter people, that is about 285 millimeters. Height, it is a little bit taller. It's full metal construction, just like the XT. That is about, what is that? 105 millimeters. Okay. So, yeah. All right. So looking at the two cards, you can see, I hope this is autofocusing correctly. You can see they are pretty much the same in terms of cooler design, right? It's identical, just one is longer and you get more of an open air design. Although I think, you know, the power pull is about the same for both of these cards, so that I don't, you know, for $100 difference performance-wise, I mean, everybody's probably seen the reviews. You're much better off buying this than this. And I think for the $100, they probably should just given you the same cooler. You know, I mean, this thing is, I ran this thing for like 5 seconds, and this thing is loud. When it gets full tilt, it's loud, to the point where I would buy an AIB version over this. This, I don't know, but I also assume that, you know, AMD's never made amazing reference design coolers, so I also assume this will be loud. Okay, so if I look at the back here, I look at the back here, you'll notice we have the same screw points with the addition of an additional screw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my screwdriver, I'm going to pop it open. If it looks the same as the other one, I won't go through the whole process. Guys, before I do this, I just wanted to give another quick comparison size-wise. For those of you who are looking to buy 7900 XTX or XT simply for the size alone on air, this is one of the smallest 4080s. It is the MSI Ventus. Previously, the Ventuses used the plastic backplate. This one is metal, so that's a good upgrade this time. It's still very light. I'm actually, I mean, the 4080s don't get that hot, but this is this design is not as beefy as the Trio, obviously, which I've already shown earlier. If not, I'll put it here as a 90, but I don't know what the 80. I think the 80 uses the same type of heatsink, but there you go. So if you wanted a smaller 4080, this is the smallest one, I believe, unless the iRock is a little smaller. But you get an idea, right? So you can technically still rock a 4080, just get something like this. This is what, 3 slots still, unfortunately, but you know, lengthwise, you know, it's gonna work. All right. So that's it. Put that aside. And you know, speaking of which, while I take these screws out, I often get asked, how do I get all these cards? I'm gonna tell you right now, I buy all of these cards myself. So this gives me the freedom to say whatever the hell I want. A lot of times when you have to take press samples or just samples in general from a vendor, I don't care who the hell you are automatically biased, right? Because you know, it doesn't matter how large you are or how many following you have, you're gonna be biased because that's just human nature. So with that said, you can see it's the exact same screw layout as pretty much what I had over here. So just let me confirm that again. So this way, I don't want to take this card apart yet because I want to, well, I mean, I guess I could, but if you guys really want to, just put in the comments. I'll take it apart. But seeing that it's so similar, I'm going to save myself the process and not make this video like 30,000 minutes. So just want to show you guys again. Originally in this video, I had planned to run this and just get an idea of temperatures, which I will still do. But I think I'm going to spend some time comparing this to the 4080. Not this one. I have the reference. I have the Founders Edition, which I haven't brought on this channel yet, but I do have it. So, but you can see, you know, you have the same screw layout. It's going to be the same process, okay? So, except for over here, you're going to have one extra RGB wire, which you didn't have here. But the teardown process will be the same. So I'm going to skip that part. All right. All right, guys. So the 7900 XTX is in. I know it's a very weird setup on your screen, what you're seeing here. You're seeing my monitor, which is running the Adrenaline overlay with MSI Afterburner. There's a decibel meter in front of it. If I shut up, you can take a look at the baseline. Okay, so it's in the mid 40s. There is a fairly loud pump in that case right now that needs to be addressed, which is why it's not as quiet as it should be. I'm gonna use Afterburner. I'm gonna set the fan to 100% so we can take a listen. So you see that with the fan at 100, we hit about 60, okay? It's definitely an audible fan, and it tends to get up to there pretty quickly. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to readjust the camera a little bit, and then we can launch Firestrike just to get an idea. I started up Timespy. Everything's on default right now, so while this is going, you can see that board power draw is 345, 348, and that matters because we are hitting close to kind of the limit per se. I think the limit's 380 at most. I may be wrong, I have to check, but it's pretty much no more than 380. And there was a Guru 3D review of the 7900 XTX Tough where they had it going to 525 watts, and the guy was able to increase his performance in Cyberpunk, which stretches this card to about 350 watts or more. And because of that, he was able to gain 23% more performance, which is about 7 frames, I think. But that means that the card is power limited and it cannot boost as high as it normally can if you're being power limited. Now, you can see here, I don't know why this AMD super resolution pops up every time, but okay. So if you see here, my core clock is 2562. The regular boost is about 2500, but for those of you that don't know, Adrenaline has a built-in overclocking feature, and it's generally pretty accurate in terms of you know, the clock you can achieve. And it's telling me that this chip can do 3100. And I don't doubt that this chip can do 3100. because I find that auto overclock tends to be pretty accurate in terms of your like actual clock stability, as long as you have temps and power under control, right? You can see the fan is starting to kind of go up now. I can hear the audible fan. Okay, I just shut up for a second. I can just read it's like 50 something decibels. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this run. We'll take a look at what the score is, and we'll move on to something like Cyberpunk and Calypso Protocol. Actually, well, you know, this is the CPU part. A little bit on the specs here. This is a 12700K. I'm running DDR5 at 7400, which is pretty darn fast. And I'll probably make a video on extremely fast DDR5, because I think a lot of folks have a misconception of XMP and boards and RAM speed, because I think a lot of people don't know how that actually works. Okay, so I'm not sure how that compares with other people, because honestly I haven't looked. But I'm assuming, considering the CPU is not tuned, it's not the fastest CPU, it's probably not the fastest score either. So, all right, so let's see here. What I meant earlier was, if I were to come down to overclock GPU, you see that if I hit proceed, it's going to give me a number. And this number is generally fairly accurate. And in this case, it's 3074. Earlier it was 31, so I guess it's not 100% accurate. I'm thinking I can probably raise the power limit here up to 115. And what I'm going to do, instead of running Timespy again, I'm going to launch Cyberpunk. I'm going to demonstrate it this way. This is Cyberpunk running in 1080p windowed borderless. All right, so right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit, I think I have it set to GPU overclock. Let me do it again just in case. Okay. So I'll let it do its thing. I showed you guys earlier that auto GPU is 3095. All right, if you can't see it on the window, I'm sorry. You know what, let me scoot it over a little bit. Okay, so you can see it's 3095. What I'm gonna do now is under custom power tuning, you can see I'll disable this, and then I'll just come here, and then we can see the board power. I'm just going to go to benchmark. Let it load. And I want you guys to pay attention to the board power, right? Which is currently 346. Earlier what I was saying was it goes up to 380. That was with the 10% on the slider. But you'll notice that my boost clock is 2652. Okay, 2642. But you get the idea. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come here. I don't know if this works real time. Let's find out. Yeah, so you see the board power has gone up to 391. And you'll notice my GPU core clock has gone up higher, right? I think if I can reduce that fan temp, if I can reduce my temps, I'm gonna use Afterburner simply because I hate the stupid controller for the fan in the AMD software. Let's see if I can get that higher. Okay, so bring my temperatures down. You'll see that I'm hitting 2750, 2729. And this just tells me right here that this is power limited. So if you had an AIB version with, well, it's dropping now because I'm hitting temperatures again. But you see that if I had an AIB card with a higher power limit, like that TUF I was speaking of, I can hit much higher than this. And I really don't get why AMD crippled themselves with this 2 8-pin crap and then went per spec. I don't know if it's some efficiency award they're trying to win, but these can definitely clock higher if they had more power. Same goes for the 6900 XT. I guess I'll put a short clip of it running in the system so you guys can get an idea of the noise. But my conclusion would be is do not buy the reference. It's loud, it's power limited, and you're better off just, I mean, the IB variants, they're only like $100 more on the Devil Limited even. So just get that. I don't actually, you know what? Hold that thought. I don't know the power limit on the Devil. I have to find out. But definitely get something with a higher power limit. All right. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and take care.